Okay, well, since there's nothing like this on YouTube, I thought I'd show you. I'm attempting to disassemble an alternator and extract all the copper out of it. There's a lot of copper, and I've tried multiple different ways of cutting one side or pulling piece by piece. It doesn't seem to be a good way of removing those wires that I know of yet. But the aluminum parts, it's cast aluminum, comes out pretty nice. It's pretty light, and it can be cracked, exposing the rotor and other stuff. The plastic parts inside, some parts have plastic. This one's a Bosch made for Volvo. Has some contaminated plastic, and it's not going to be too good for nothing unless you can melt the plastic and get the brass out. Otherwise it'll just fall. It's hard to sell plastic. Here's the brush. I think the brush has probably got a ceramic on it, some sort of high heat metal, and then more plastic in the back. The big question of the day is, how the heck do you remove the rotor? This being the rotor is attached inside of an aluminum casing. And as you can kind of see, as I'm rolling on the back, it just wants to stay there. I see that there's a bearing right here. A bearing and some sort of brass tops somewhere around here. And I've noticed that down here, where it seems to be all held together, is soft, gooey plastic of some sort. And I'm wondering if that's how they hold this side on. It may be also how you get it off. So I'm going to take some of this plastic stuff off of here. I'm sure I can cook it off, but I'm going to try to pull it off first just to see just how much is on there. I'll show you if I can get it off. I've protected myself from the sun, and I'm going to cheat a bit. There's toxic fumes. Kind of puffed up. See how that does? Now I can get it out of there. It's a little soft. Look at there. Copper ring. Well, after much chiseling, I got some of that stuff off of there. And it's revealing what looks to be some sort of contact. Yes, I'll show you if I can get it off. Woohoo! Got it off! That sucker's full of that brown shit in there, see? It's got two contact points. I think one on the outside, one on the inside. Well, kind of blurry. I'm not sure why. I'll show you anyway. That sucker and that sucker are all one piece, and it's attached directly to the rotor. I don't see that piece coming off. So I'm going to see if I can disassemble this here bearing. That might just be our key to getting that rotor off. Guess we'll see. Took the little rubber thing off. And here's there's another rubber thing holding in some balls. And there's our bearings. I wonder how you take apart a bearing in that format. Doesn't seem to want to come off. Huh. Look at that. When all the bearings are evenly spaced, the sucker stays on. Watch this. You put all the bearings to one side, and they just fall right off. Well, this is what we in the industry call a bolt of death. You see that there brass bearing? That thing does not have any way to come off. I have no idea whether it's welded on there or it was squeezed on by a monster. But I tried to whack it with a hammer and it shot off a piece of shrapnel and cut my leg open. So note to self, don't whack brass. I'm going to try to break off the other side because I don't have a nut or a tool big enough to take off the wheel on the other side. So I'm going to break the aluminum off of it, hopefully revealing the rotor. It's so hard, huh? You got aluminum chunks. Whoa! How do you get that off of there? Good freaking question. Well, the wheel doesn't want to come out because I don't have a thing big enough to take that out. The back thing bent, which means it's made out of brass. I'm going to try something. I really want to get that copper out of there, but I can't seem to get that off. I have two options. One is try to take this nut and literally just sand it right off, or maybe heat it. Maybe the brass would expand, but I kind of don't think so. And the third option is to cut one little stupid wire in there and just weave it out very slowly to see how much copper is actually in there. I'm going to try that first because that seems to be the less headache. Well, more controlling organ. I got one, and I'm going to see how far I can pull it out. You can watch if you want. Copper. Oh dear. Copper. Now watch this. Pull it up on my hair thing. If I just shake it around. Well, almost. Well, it's kind of late. Had some dinner, and I got all the copper off that rotor. It was really not easy. I ended up reaching in these little parts here with a chisel and cutting the copper in about 3 different spots so that I could reach in there with a pliers and pull out the individual 4-inch strands. That was outrageously difficult. The only thing I can imagine to try to get this thing open effectively would be to cut this section in 2 all the way across and just pull it right off of there. Either that or cut the whole thing in half, revealing the 2 different pieces. There's a possibility that the front end may allow all of this to come off, but this was also difficult right here. This piece is still got a bearing on it, and it's attached to this big bolt in here. I don't have the right size bolt, and I don't have a clamp. So unless I buy a clamp, and unless I've got a bigger set of socket wrenches, it's going to be kind of hard to do. So if anybody else knows a good way to open this thing up, post it.